Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the second annual general meeting of the Canadian Business History Association. My name is Janice Thiessen. I've had the pleasure of acting as a director for the organization over the past few years. Today's agenda, we have a set of formal business items to attend to, all of which is the basis of governance of the organization, reporting on its membership, and a report on the financial condition of the organization. After we address these formal items, we'll have a short break, and then we will hear a talk from our guest speaker, Mr. Charlie Bailey. First, let's direct our attention to the formal business items that will be dealt with at our annual general meeting. Call upon the Secretary-Treasurer of the CBHA-ACHA, Mr. Mark Bonham, to provide his report on the requirement that proper notice has been given to the members and a necessary quorum is present to conduct the business of the meeting.
Thank you. As Secretary-Treasurer of the CBHA-ACHA, I hereby confirm that the proper notice of this meeting, pursuant to Bylaw Number 1, Section 10.04, being 21 days' notice, has been provided to all members. I also hereby confirm that the form of notice, pursuant to Bylaw Number 1, Section 12, has also been met. I also confirm that the requirement under Bylaw Number 1, Section 10.01, that an annual general meeting be held has now been met by the conducting of this meeting. I also confirm that, pursuant to Bylaw Number 1, Section 10.10, a quorum is present at this meeting in person or by proxy to properly conduct the affairs of the meeting, and that the meeting may now proceed.
Thank you, Mark. We'll call now on the President of the CBHA-ACHA. Jill Martin is the Director of the Canadian Business and Financial History Initiative at the Rotman School of Management, University of Toronto, and President Emeritus of Canada's History Society. His research is focused on the development of case studies about Canadian business in a global context, but he has recently completed a book comparing the Canadian and American financial systems from the late 18th century to 2008.
Thank you, Janice. For those of you who've written a book, you can imagine my great relief, because yesterday I submitted my comments on the proofs. And this is the birth of a book. Thank you. The gestation period is much longer than an elephant's pregnancy if you work with the University of Toronto Press. And I'm dressed like this because, as we all know, today is Sir John A. Macdonald's birthday, and I'm the Albany Club historian, and so I'm going to see that chap whose name I can never remember, who was leader of the Conservative Party federally, but I'll remember it better after tonight. And we've got this large room for Charlie, and I warned him in advance. This will be recorded, and that's why we could only get we could only record in a large room. Where to begin to describe what's happened in the past 18 months? We have had another successful year, but it was a tough year. In January, a year ago this week, we learned that Chris Kobrak had been found dead in his apartment. In May, we lost another great supporter of the Society, Michael Bliss. In December, our chairman, Dimitri Anastaskis, went into the hospital for surgery to have his colon removed. So at this point, I'd like to say a special word of thanks to Mark Bonham for A, not being sick, B, doing all that he has done since May of 2016. I think most of you are aware of what Mark does because of his internet presence, or our presence on the internet because of Mark. But let me give you some unseen aspects. As you know, we had a large, successful conference here in September on 150 years of Canadian business. While the government of Canada and others chose to downplay the sesquicentennial of Canada, we made a real contribution, I think, which you can see now on the website, you can see on YouTube, and soon we'll have a book out documenting 150 years of Canadian business. And the way we worked originally was Dimitri and Mark and I would huddle and we'd sort things out and move along, and then Dimitri got a little bit ill, and it was Mark and myself. And I've had a chance to compare that with other operations around here because I replaced Chris Kobrak on the committee that's organizing a conference in March on the decennial of 2008. Well, there, at an average meeting, there are at least 10 people present physically, 2 people or 3 people by Skype, and they're paid staff as well. But so it was quite a contrast. I'm going to be intrigued to who has the better conference. So what I would like you all to do is please join me in a round of applause for Mark Bottom. He's very modest. He's giving me a dirty look there. Now, since May of 2016, remember we're a brand new organization, we've had 2 conferences. One in conjunction with the Leverhulme group from the University of Kent, and one in September on 150 years of Canadian business. Both were a huge success, but there was a key difference. We didn't get that much credit for the Leverhulme conference, but as I told you, for the 150 conference, you can now access it on the web, on YouTube, and we're very much looking forward to having the book published, and I think it will be a great contribution. And just think of all that stuff on the web, to have a conference on 150 years of Canadian business archived and available. And furthermore, I heard just this week from the CBHA-ACHA, after the session at 150 where Jim Bailey and Jim Goodfellow, Jim Bailey speaking on the law, Jim Goodfellow speaking on accounting, after that session, Jim Arnott, member in good standing, I hope, said, why don't we do something more with this? That was really good. So I asked him to phone Bill Robson from CDHowe. We heard this week that on February 20th, that session, they will have a session. It'll be much more current, but will be based on the work that they did for that conference. And we suspect there are other spin-offs as well. Elsewhere, you have read or heard of the increased geographic footprint we have with board members and general members. We also held our first board meeting outside of Ontario in Winnipeg in conjunction with the Oral History Center, and we've had a first meeting of the Ottawa group recently. You're also aware that we've had Don Newman speak. We have had a tour of the Distillery District, and today we have Charles Bailey, who will be speaking after the annual general meeting. And you're all aware of what we've been doing in terms of helping young scholars and our book initiative. From my perspective, I put a lot of effort into the 2 conferences, especially 150, but given what I was supposed to be doing, I have not done the job that you and I expect of me in terms of obtaining corporate memberships. It is my sincere hope that we can move much more boldly in the year ahead. So thank you, everyone. That is my report.
Thank you, Joe. We have a series of motions to consider, and the first of these is the election of directors to the CBHA-ACHA. Under our bylaws, directors are elected to 3-year rotating terms. As such, in this second annual meeting of second annual meeting of members, there are a set of directors to be elected with a 3-year term. So the motion to be put to the meeting is that the following directors be elected to a 3-year term: Mr. Mark S. Bonham, Mr. M. Stephen Salmon, Professor Don Nurbis, Professor Danica Belisle, and Professor Andrew Smith. Biographies of these individuals were provided in the annual meeting material that were forwarded to all members. And may I ask that a member move that this motion be presented? Thank you. And is there a seconder? Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Being none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Then the financial affairs. I will ask that our Secretary-Treasurer provide his report. Please, Mark.
Thank you again, Janice. And the annual report was distributed to each of the members in the notice of the meeting, and I have a copy here, and we also have a presentation here, a video copy of that, and I will very quickly go through that. In reviewing the financial statements of the CBHA, please remember that these are 12-month reviewed reports to September the 30th of 2017, with a comparison in its similar period in 2016. Primary revenues relate solely to membership fees and this year conference income. As of September 30th, these totaled approximately $51,372 compared to last year $67,860. I'll just call this up on the worksheet here so everyone can see that. It's a PDF. Maybe I can just hang on.
Bottom right.
Oh, yes. Is that better? Perfect. The composition of the income, of course, changed materially from 2016 to 2017. In 2016, the principal revenue came from signing up the organization's initial charter corporate members, while in 2017, the principal revenue came from holding the organization's annual conference, which in 2017 was a celebration of Canada's sesquicentennial year. Expenses of the organization to September 30th, 2017 can be broken down into three principal areas: organizational expenses incurred in operating the organization, the expenses of holding the annual conference, and grants, scholarships, and awards to members. In the first category, the principal expenses relate to managing the organization's website, including this year the creation of a new and dedicated website for the sesquicentennial conference, and other communication activities such as the newsletter, etc. The costs associated with the ongoing promotion of the organization and daily administrative tasks. These organizational expenses totaled approximately $20,116 in 2017 compared to $20,122 in 2016. So basically no change on the year on that. The organization created a scholarships and awards committee which solicits applications from members and presents such awards. This committee has a set of criteria for the awarding of research grants, travel grants, and other scholarship grants for members, including an appropriate application form and review procedure. As a result of this, grants were awarded for a total sum of $14,916 in 2017 compared to $12,024 in 2016, representing an increase of 24% on the year. This increase was due in part to the creation and awarding of the annual book award and the new research fellowship. Turning to the balance sheet, I'll just call that up as well. The operations of the organization were sufficient to ensure a healthy operating cash balance of $59,249 compared to $45,379 in 2016. And this will ensure the continuing operation of the organization well into 2018 and 2019. So I'm very comfortable as treasurer to announce that we have a very good cash balance to continue the operations of the organization in the near future. If there are any questions on the financials, I'd be very happy to answer them at this time. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. I'd like to table the following motion, that the financial statements of the organization for the period ended September 30th, 2017 are accepted and approved. May I have a seconder? Thank you. Any questions or discussion of the motion? Then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And I'd like to table another motion, that the organization reappoint Ms. Hema Murcock, excuse my pronunciation, CA, as the review auditor for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. Is there a seconder? Yes. Any questions or discussion? And all those in favor? And opposed? Thank you. And Mark, are you presenting on membership or? Okay, thank you.
In terms of our membership, we continue to have 8 large corporate memberships, as noted on the board behind me. And in order of joining, these are TD Financial Group, Scotiabank, Great West Life Assurance Company, Canada Life Assurance Company, London Life Assurance Company, the CIBC, the Bank of Montreal, and the Hudson's Bay Company History Foundation. 2 small corporate members in order of joining are Heathbridge Capital Management and Cameron Stevens Mortgage Capital, Inc. In terms of individual memberships, I am pleased to report that we have a total of 107 individual members of the CBHA-ACHA compared to 54 in 2016. So almost a doubling of membership. And those memberships include academics, archivists, corporate executives, students and young scholars, and the general public. In terms of what we have planned for the new year, we are looking on bringing additional large corporate memberships into the organization, and hopefully a doubling again of our individual memberships. So we will be putting extra effort now that the Sesquicentennial Conference is behind us into growing our membership and continuing that growth over 2018. Thank you.
And we'll now open the floor to general comments and questions that you might have, if any. Very well. Then that concludes the formal business matters of our annual general meeting.